Joe, what's up, man?
How are you?
I know your buddy Drew Pearson there likes to call you Joey Theismann, but you got
Joey,
Joey Thyman up there on your Zoom. We're missing an S up there, but we know who you are.
why am I not surprised that I'm always winding up that way, it seems.
Well, I was just, Joe, it's great to see you. We haven't seen you since our happenstance encounter there at LAX. After the Super Bowl, or right before the Super Bowl, right after the Radio Row, and we saw you there at LAX for the first time. We got to say hi in person. Granted, we were all masked, but this is a little better. I think this is better.
There we go. Yeah, this is a lot better. I like, it's nice to see people face to face, and it's nice to be able to actually see people. The Zoom sometimes is inconvenient because, I travel a lot and I'm in the car or something like that, but having a chance to sit here, and this is my home. So
palatial estate.
Virginia. So thank you. Yeah, this is the palatial estate.
Well, it's time to get the fall decorations out, Joe. We got to see some
ranch, baby.
Pumpkins over there. Well,
Yellowstone over there.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I got there's a bunch of cattle leaving some information for me someplace else. So
don't let it wander over to anyone else's property there. Joe, it's great to have you. And, when the football life came out a couple weeks ago, I was like, man, this is a great time to talk to you. Just watching that episode, there's so many people that have been so instrumental in us and our show growing over the years. We were able to meet Marty Schottenheimer in person a couple years ago. And to see that you honored in such a way, it really meant something. And I thought the episode was tremendous. Just now that it's been out for a couple weeks, how did you feel that the football life turned out?
I was flattered. I mean, it was just an incredible honor to have football life done on me. And it was, I guess the best way to capsule it is my wife and I watched it together. And when it was over, Robin turned and looked at me and she went, "That's your life." And so we've been together 31 years. And so she's, she wasn't there for the football stuff. But, from what she knows about the way I am, my passion and love for the game, she says, "That's you." And, being able to spend some time with Drew was wonderful, and capturing the opportunity at the university. And then, of course, my time in Toronto, I get a lot of tweets from people up in Toronto because I still follow the CFL up there.
Yep.
The Argonauts are leading in the East, but Winnipeg looks like it's the team to beat, possibly, or Calgary. But I love studying and watching the Canadian Football League. I watch it on Saturday nights as well. And then, of course, my time in Washington, and then having a chance to walk through RFK with LT and sort of, relive those moments. And I guess it's almost like a surreal experience because I remember the stadium packed full of fans, everybody screaming and yelling. And Oakland Alameda Stadium and RFK were very similar because there were only like 3-foot walls for the fans. I mean, you were right there. When you went through the end zone, you were in somebody's lap. I mean, it was that close. And now there's weeds growing all over the place. The place is all rusty, and it's like a sci-fi movie almost when you walk around there.
Well, how do you feel like things are going for the Commanders? The team name, the uniforms, the season is kind of off to a little bit of a rocky start, but what are you making of just this kind of overhaul with the Commanders?
I think they're struggling in certain areas. It seems like, every game somebody runs wide open from a communication standpoint of the other team. I think the offensive line, which has really held up quite well over the last couple of years, has struggled against two really good defenses, Philadelphia and Dallas in particular. They have the Tennessee Titans this week and Chicago next week. And, if you want to qualify these are winnable games because I think the talent level's pretty similar. And, Carson, it's very difficult to evaluate somebody when they're running for their life.
Yeah.
Or every time you turn around, and I don't care who you are, when you're facing 3rd and 16, 2nd and 22, 3rd and 17, second down and 19. I don't care who you
saw it in Super Bowl 55.
If you're an offensive coordinator or you're the quarterback, where do you go? I mean, I've had times when Coach Gibbs would probably deny this, but I mean, it would be 3rd down and 22. I'd look for the sidelines. He'd go, "Yeah, you figure it out. I got nothing."
Draw something in the dirt.
I got nothing. You figure that one out.
Well,
But it's a team that's struggling. And I really feel like, to a degree, if you look at different sports teams, okay, like I'm a big Yankee fan. What Aaron Judge has done is absolutely sensational.
Sure.
I mean, it's incredible. Every chance I had to be around a TV when the Yankees were playing, I'd find some way to be able to watch his at bats. Ohtani is another great baseball player.
Yeah.
But teams have identities, whether it's the NBA, WNBA, whatever, it doesn't matter. We haven't found, in my opinion, as the Commanders, we haven't found an identity yet. You know, I mean, the identity right now of the Dallas Cowboys is they're going to rush you. Okay. The Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen's playing smart, really good football, but defensively, they're going to wreak havoc on you. So, you know, and Washington's defense, which came under a lot of criticism a year ago, has really played well under trying circumstances, because when you get no help from the other side, and then, you know, and the big thing is very uncharacteristic of a Ron Rivera football team, I think, is guys making the penalties, the stupid mistakes, and putting yourself in those situations. They had 2 turnovers against the Dallas Cowboys. Nobody talks about it. Both of them wiped out by penalties.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it wasn't a game that got away from them, but it just sort of kept leaking and leaking and leaking. At the end, you know, you get those points at the end and they make it look a little closer, but it really wasn't. And the name, and this is the way I analogize the name. People get all upset about, you know, well, we were the Wash. I'll never have a Redskin record ever broken. You know why? Because the Redskins don't exist anymore. So, you know, the records are there. But I think of this is the way I try and explain it to people. I think of the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers captures the history, the gold rush in San Francisco. When you think of Washington, D.C., in my opinion, you think of the seat of command of our military. And so the Commanders can make sense in that regard. But then again, I mean, if you win, people are going to be all behind it. I mean, it's all a matter of winning on the field and being able to do the things you need to do to get the fans excited about wanting to buy the uniforms. You know, the all black uniforms were interesting. I love the black helmets. I mean, the thing that I had trouble with is the names on the back of the jerseys are bracketed by 2 bars, and you can't read the names. And I kept trying to figure out who's who. And, you know, I'm around the team and I still understand it, but you really just couldn't read the names of the players on the back of the jerseys the way they're designed. But I like the all black. I think they're going to go all maroon this week. So
they got some combos to play with there. We'll see. And you're right. Winning is how that becomes a more identifiable brand. And do you think that the problems with the Commanders so far are kind of exacerbated by the hot start of the Eagles 4-0, the Cowboys 3-1, and we got the New York Giants out of the gate here 3-1 too? The success of the rest of the division, does that put a bigger spotlight on kind of some of these problems?
I think it does. And the fact that you've lost 2 division games, one to Philly and one to Dallas, doesn't help. A lot of times, you know, you'll get Dallas, I think, the last game of the season again in Philadelphia later on in the year. But, you know, this game is, you don't want to say that this is the most important game of the season, but I think for the Commanders, this one is very important to gain back some confidence as a football team.
Yeah.
This has nothing to do, in my opinion, with the fans. This is all about the football team gaining confidence in what they do, confidence in the coaches, confidence in the play calling, confidence in the execution, eliminating the mistakes. That's what this football game's all about. And if they can do that, they can play toe to toe. Of course, you got to control Derrick Henry, which is no easy task.
Sure.
So, you know, I mean, you basically know what's in front of you. You know what you have to do. And, you know, in Carson's case, one of the things that he has been criticized about is making a play that you didn't have to make, trying to do too much. And we saw it again on Sunday when he took that game where he grounded the ball. He got a grounding penalty. I mean, at any time when he was scrambling, he could have just thrown it away. And now you're, you know, maybe, I don't know if there was 2nd and 10 then, as opposed to 2nd or 3rd and 22. I mean, those are the things that he has to be able to do better, because this football team cannot afford the luxury of going down by 14 points, and they can't afford the luxury of making mistakes.
Yeah.
And those are the facts about this football team.
Absolutely.
The players are there. I mean, they've got players. The O line has to play better, obviously, but you've got playmakers. Carson can get the job done. You give him a little bit of time, like we saw earlier. But the last couple of weeks have been rough and tough playing quarterback back there because you're running for your life.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, we saw Mahomes, even as great as he is, he couldn't do it in Super Bowl 55 with an offensive line against that Bucs defense. No. And speaking of that, this past Sunday night, the Chiefs get a little bit of revenge. It's not a Super Bowl, it's the regular season game, but the Bucs were only giving up 9 points per game going into that game. The Chiefs put up 41, and Patrick Mahomes, without Tyreek Hill, somehow he's doing it still. He's got Travis Kelce. They're trying to work in these receivers, but they've got a plethora of tight ends and running backs to go to as well. Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, they're figuring out, and people want to anoint all these quarterbacks and try to create this competition for Mahomes. It was early on, it was Baker Mayfield, then Lamar Jackson, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen. Is it safe to say just Mahomes is on another level, even over these great quarterbacks?
No, I wouldn't. Patrick is adjusting. I think what he's doing is showing you what kind of a professional he is. He's adjusting, and Andy's the same way. Andy Reid is just an incredible adjuster. I mean, he's taken different types of quarterbacks. I mean, he's had Donovan McNabb. He's had Michael Vick. He's had all these different types of quarterbacks. Patrick is unique in his ability to be able to create and make plays after the play's been called. I mean, Andy can call the best play in the world, but you can't get it blocked. But Patrick will make it work, but it wasn't necessarily what we were talking about. Now, Josh Allen is another type of a player. Josh Allen throws the ball really well, but yet he runs like a running back. Lamar is throwing the ball well and playing very good football, but yet goes out and still can, hurt you with his legs. Jalen Hurts is understanding what's around him in Philadelphia and playing to his strengths and the strengths of his football team. A.J. Brown being added there, I think, made a big difference. You look at what, with Tua, and hopefully he'll be okay in a week or so to be able to play. But those two teams, Philly and Miami, they added players around the position to support it. And this goes to my theory, and I believe this 100%. The quarterback position is the single most dependent position on the field. If you don't have guys to throw to, if you don't have guys who can run, if you don't have guys that can block, and look at through the first 3 weeks, how many games were decided by 3 points or less. If you don't have a kicker making kicks, you've got problems. So
the Chiefs,
that's right. The Chiefs, when you really break it down, but Patrick is fun. Patrick is exciting. He's a part of, he sort of leads that troop of young guys. Josh Allen's another one. Justin Herbert, another one. I hope his ribs are okay. He should be able to play, more comfortable this week, I guess you could say. But we've got a really nice influx of young, really good quarterbacks coming in. Not anointing anybody to greatness until, what's the standard bearer? Tom's got 7 world championships. Troy has 3, Terry has 4, Joe has 4. We've got guys with 1. Yeah. And we want to, okay, wow. But these are young players that are exciting football players. They're fun to watch. They're the reason that their teams are winning to a large degree. And their coaches have been very, very creative with them and the things they're able to do. And they take advantage of what their talents are. And to me, I really think that you have to be able to throw the ball from the pocket if you're going to be effective over a long period of time in this league. To be able to run around and make plays looks good. It's fun. It looks like a video game. But on the other side of it, man, you put yourself in harm's way an awful lot. And the first thing I think of is Zach Wilson in the first preseason game. He's 3 yards from the sidelines, and he plants his foot and he's going to cut up in a preseason game. Why? Why would you? What? You got nothing to prove. Run out of bounds. Yeah, I tell young quarterbacks this all the time. I tell old ones this same thing. Your number one responsibility to your team is to be available to play and practice so you can get better and they can get better. That's your number one responsibility.
Yeah, it hurts the team. And maybe the Buffalo Bills, Joe, we're kind of getting out ahead of this. It seems to me like through 4 games, the Buffalo Bills, you're seeing a lot of design runs with Josh Allen. You talked about it. It looks good. He's scoring, they're winning, but my goodness, to me, and I know Josh Allen is a big quarterback. He's a guy a big strappy quarterback. Is there danger here, or is there a danger zone for the Buffalo Bills that they're flirting with when it comes to Josh Allen?
You take a sledgehammer to a big stone, the stone's going to break
eventually.
And Josh is a big stone, and you keep pounding on him and pounding on him. It's a long season. 17 games is a long season, and it's going to be more than that in all likelihood for the Buffalo Bills. I mean, you're looking at possibly a 20-21 game, at least a 20 game season.
Yeah.
And now with the way the playoffs are set up, it could be 21. That's almost half a year, and the recuperative powers of the body are limited. And so, like I say, you keep pounding on a rock, as big as the rock is, it's going to chip and it's going to break. And Lamar's the same way.
Yeah.
But one thing that I love what Patrick has done adjusting without Tariq and Andy. I love what they've done in Baltimore with Lamar, really disciplining himself to work from the pocket. If he continues to be as effective out of the pocket as he is, he's going to become a nightmare going forward later if he decides that he wants to take off and run. Josh is the same way.
Yeah.
Justin Herbert can move around really well, but don't count out, Tom, and don't count out Aaron quite yet. They're still the preeminence in this game, in my opinion.
Joe, I'm going to do a little hypothetical here. Put you in Patrick Mahomes' shoes. It's the off season. There's talk between Brett Veach, Tyreek Hill. Maybe we can't figure out a deal. The wide receiver market is getting reset because of what Jacksonville did with their receiver. So you're Patrick Mahomes. You hear that we may be trading Tyreek Hill. Are you losing it? Are you like, this is a generational talent, we can't let him go no matter what? I've got to have this guy. What are you thinking? What are you saying to Brett Veach when you have those talks?
I think Patrick's basically saying, look, I'm a player. I'm not in management. When guys start talking about making deals and signing people and not getting rid of people, hey, you put the time in that the scouts put in and go look for somebody. Put the time in that the front office does trying to figure out how to make the football team better. As a player, you do your job, you go home. They write you a huge check to do your job, not someone else's. I'm sure Andy, listen, I wouldn't question Andy Reid's decisions 1 minute, not 1 second. He understood, and then they picked up some really good quality players to be able to spread the ball around. Patrick is spreading the ball around, which makes them even more dangerous as a football team. And I think that's the growth that I've seen in Patrick Mahomes that I really appreciate. He's terrific as he was. Now he'll even become more complete at the quarterback position. And so from my perspective, he probably looked at it and he said, man, Tariq's something else. And then Tariq could go says some stupid stuff. I mean, it's just, how do Tua is the best he's ever played. I understand what Tariq's saying. He's supporting his quarterback. That's fine. But I'll tell you, the guy that he left was something special too. But, to me, you just, as a quarterback, wherever the cards are dealt, you play them. And that's what Patrick's doing. He's playing the hand that's been dealt. And it's a pretty darn strong hand.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I know that you're Notre Dame Fighting Irish, kind of starting out of the gate here 2-2. We like Marcus Freeman. I think that'll be a good fit. But your former teammate John Riggins there, I don't know if you ever had to consider this, if you've been in contact with him at all. His Kansas Jayhawks are 5-0 here. Right. John Riggins, man, I don't know if you've been in contact with him. This is a once in a lifetime situation. We're seeing the Kansas 5-0, but that's what makes college football great. A team coming out of nowhere and kind of pushing the limits here. The Jayhawks are 5-0, and that's, I guess,
we've seen it with App State. I mean, go back was it Michigan they beat a few years back?
Yeah, and then A&M this year.
A&M, and they opened the season I think against A&M, and so teams that people don't necessarily expect in the preseason polls to do well all of a sudden are out of the gate. We have it in professional football with the Giants. I don't think anybody expected the Giants to be 3-1, to be perfectly honest with you. So, and they can make up whatever excuses they want. The record speaks for itself. Kansas looks like they're playing some really good football. I love watching college football. I'm all over the place on Saturday.
Yeah.
Last night I watched UCF.
Yeah.
Last night against SMU, and they moved it, which was really neat to have a Wednesday night game, to be honest with you, which I'm sure is going to probably now foster more television time for
Of
college
course.
We just
football.
need a game every day of the week. Just
But
forget
I
it.
don't, I never really heard John talk much about Kansas anyway. Even when we were playing
It's
together.
probably not.
But anyway, he's got to be happy. I guarantee it.
Yeah.
Well, Joe, I got to ask you about this AFC West coming into the season. Everybody thought this was going to be maybe the best division in football history. The Broncos bring over Russell Wilson. The Raiders bring over Devontae Adams. We know what the Chargers did with J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack. And we've fallen on some hard times here for the Chargers, Broncos, and Raiders. We're sure that the Chargers are going to be in it till the end. Do you think the Raiders can find their footing? They just beat the Broncos. They got their first win of the season. Is Derek Carr going to be able to figure things out with Devontae Adams? And is Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett for the Broncos going to be able to right the ship over there?
I think there's a lot of newness in that division.
Yeah.
I mean, you really made a great point when you said, okay, this person's here, that person's here. Remember, there's no practice time in preseason. There's no game conditions in preseason. To me, the first 2 or 3 games of the regular season are glorified preseason games where you work on conditioning, you work on timing, you work on the game plans, you work on coaching, you work on decisions by coaches. All those things never get done in preseason. Preseason football is an evaluation of rookies and free agents. It has nothing to do with getting your team in shape. It has nothing to do with guys getting hit. Why do you think you've seen so many balls on the ground in the first 4 weeks of the season? Guys aren't used to getting hit. They're not used to being around traffic.
Yeah.
They're not used to get people grabbing at the ball. Now, as we go forward from this point forward, you'll see fewer and fewer, I think, balls on the ground. You'll see fewer and fewer interceptions. Maybe somebody's going to wind up throwing a lot, but you'll just see guys protecting the ball more because now you're into mode. When we play, I used to play in preseason. I used to get ready for the regular season. Now the first 2-3 games get you regular for the rest of the season, but certainly not for the beginning of the preseason. So I think that's a little bit of the newness that's in that division out there.
Joe, you said something in the football life that I kind of want to go back to because it just seems like when I look at your story and look at, the South River, New Jersey, and you said that you had everything that you needed right by your house, a football field, and you didn't think about doing anything else but playing sports, and you and Drew Pearson playing football, basketball, baseball together. And then you said to this day that you live vicariously through the game of football. And I just think that's a really important and special thing to think about. You talk about watching the CFL on Saturdays, watching college football on a Wednesday night. That sort of personifies exactly what you mean. And just your upbringing it's just a different culture now. You don't necessarily come home for supper and go play football. That's just what the game and what sports meant to you. And it just seems like that's something that's maybe lost today that you had back in your generation.
Well, obviously, it's a different time when we were growing up in the 60s. There's so much more available to young people today. There's so much more available through the internet, through video games. Really, there's so much more available to people to stay inside versus outside. If we wanted to play, we went outside. Today, if you want to play, you can be playing somebody in London in a game, a Madden game. I mean, It doesn't matter, but you don't leave your room. I was just so blessed to live and grow up really when I did. But athletics really taught me a foundation. It's one of the things I talk about in my speeches, the relationship between the world of sports, the world of business, and our own lives. It created a foundation of competition for me. The portal, don't get me started. And I've got about 7-8 minutes to be able to play with you guys because I got a call. But, don't get me started on the portal where if competition looks like it's too tough ahead of you, just quit and go someplace else. That's a great thing to be teaching this generation. Mm-hmm. And if somebody looks like, if you have to compete against somebody for a job, oh no, I'm just going to go someplace else where it looks easier. It drives me a little crazy sometimes when I look at what's going on. And then, you see college kids, basically the NILs, high school NILs, college NILs. We don't have college football anymore. We have semi-professional football.
Yeah, 100%.
That's basically what it is. Why don't we be honest and call it what it is? It's semi-professional football now. We've allowed the agents into it. We've allowed money into it, and it's semi-professional football. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And the portal, I think, has opened up a situation for young people instead of hanging in. I don't know how college coaches can recruit anymore. I really don't. You know that there are college
different.
coaches that will not post depth charts
Oh yeah.
because
That's
of and it used to be, the parents used to be able to dictate to a college and say, my son, and I'm sure, and or daughter, if you sign another one at that position, he or she's not going to go there. Now it's different. Now the kids just, they have the right to say, okay, I'm gone. I'm out of here. And I just don't see it being healthy for college football, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Gonna have to find.
For me, growing up where I did, in the town I did, I mean, the town's 1 square mile big. I
love that.
We had one of the few yards that was about, it was probably by 50 by 70 feet, not yards, but we had one of the few yards where we could do everything. We could play baseball there. We played football there. I mean, we did everything in that little yard of ours. It was the place where everybody sort of came to play. But I consider myself very lucky to have grown up in South River, New Jersey, and my friends, some of my dearest friends are still the friends I had from high school.
That's absolutely tremendous. We love the football life. Real quick, before we get you out of here, we had the football life that came out in September. You released your book, How to Be a Champion Every Day, 6 Timeless Keys to Success, a couple years ago. We know you've done some homework films here in the last couple of years. What are we looking at here up on the rest of 2022 and 2023? What do you got coming up?
I just right now I'm just doing a lot of motivational speaking. I'm doing a lot of motivational speaking, having a chance to be able to get out. After the pandemic, everybody went inside and got stuck in front like we are in computers. Now, we are human beings that really enjoy being around one another. We like human contact. We like to be able to see people, like to be able to hear people. And a lot of companies want to get their interaction back with their individuals. They want to be able to have everybody get out there and be able to see one another, to talk to one another, to learn from one another, because that's really, I think, the way you grow. And so I've been very blessed to be able to have an opportunity to do a fair amount of that, and still working on my golf game.
That's ongoing. That
always a work in progress.
Yeah, I know. I can't hit it as far now that I finally have come to this realization that I guess my own mortality, that the 7-iron doesn't fly like it used to before. And so now I'm moving up a tee.
Well, Joe,
that's a club problem, not a Joe Theismann problem.
Exactly.
Oh, definitely a club problem.
It's an equipment error.
Definitely equipment failure. No question.
We cannot thank you enough. We always enjoy this, and I guess we'll plan on seeing you hopefully at the Super Bowl in Phoenix this year, and say hi in person again, my man. Thank you so much again for your time. Enjoy this weekend's games. It's going to be some great wins, and take care, my friend.
Thanks for having me with you guys. I really appreciate it. Take
care.
Stay safe.
Always, Joe. Thanks.
Always a pleasure and an honor.